Hello, loves. This is Miss Eubanks. I welcome everyone to Love Flow Ministry. This is a prophetic teaching, healing, and deliverance ministry. And today's topic is my prophecy of me going to jail and how I forgave my mom in jail. So, when I was in like the fifth grade, I just remember I had this strong belief that I was going to go to jail. And I just didn't know what for. So I used to say this because I believed, and it was like this strong unction, prophetic unction that God was revealing to me in fifth grade. So people used to think I was crazy, et cetera, et cetera. And I used to just say it. I was like, I have a feeling that I'm going to go to jail one day, and I just don't know what for, right? Fast forward until 2015. I think I was 19 years old. And voila, I left my hometown and I ended up living with this guy. Me and this guy was in a relationship, very toxic relationship. I would get drunk and hit him and et cetera, very toxic. And one day he went through my phone, and when he went through my phone, he saw something that he did not like. He seen me having communications, texting another guy. So this pissed him off, right? And he put his hands on me for the very first time. He put his hands on me. And I was scared. I was shocked, and I instantly called the police. So when I called the police, they came, and then I had mixed emotion. I was like, oh, I don't want him to go to jail. Yeah, I'm gonna tell them, I lied. They can go, don't lock him up. Of course not. The police remained. So the police began to get my side of the story and his side of the story. And at first, they put him in handcuffs and they put him in the, police car. And I was like, okay. All of a sudden, that changed. They took him out of the police car, put me in handcuffs, and put me in the police car. Yeah. I was like, huh? Don't you see the scratch on me? Don't you see that I call you guys? And yeah, why am I in here? So of course I was hurt. I was hurt. I was confused. I was like, I don't belong in this police car. I'm going to go to jail. I'm scared, Instantly. God, it was like God reminded me that he was like, you knew. I told you years ago that you was going to go to jail. So when God reminded me of that prophecy that he told me in fifth grade, I thought a feeling of peace just came up on me, So I'm still hurt, the fleshly side, and it's like I'm hurt, but yet I had this unexplainable peace that God had given me. And on my way there, I had to go through processing, didn't know what that was, had to script, and bend over and cough and all of that stuff. So I'm thinking I was going to be in a, one cell, that was not the case. It was this big room with bunk beds and bean bags on the floor. It had about 2 to 3 bathroom stalls, benches, and a TV. And, of course, you had the phones right there. So I wasn't scared. I always was a friendly person. Like I communicated and stuff like that. So they looked at me as their little sister in there. So of course I was broken. Like I needed someone to get me out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when they gave me the opportunity to make a phone call, the first person I called was my mom. I knew in my heart that she didn't know what to do or how to do it, especially how to get me out of jail. So, and in me is this little girl like screaming, like begging, like, come through, mom, come through. You never came through, how I felt at that time. You never came through for me before, come through for me, So I'm calling, I'm, mad and angry at her like she did it, you know what I'm saying? And when I called, she was like, I don't know what to do, et cetera, et cetera. And I began to like lash out at my mom. Like I said before, I had a lot of anger and hate in my heart towards my mom because at that time I didn't know her limitations. And I just felt that she just wasn't there to protect me. So I'm lashing out at her, hung up the phone, crying and things of that nature. And voila, I called my grandparents, specifically wanted to speak to my grandfather. And yes, I had hate, a lot of anger in my heart towards my grandma as well, because I felt that, same thing as my mom, didn't speak up for me, didn't fight for me, didn't protect me as I felt at that time. So what she would do, she answered the phone. I was like, can I speak to granddaddy, And my granddad didn't want to speak to me at that time. So she would literally hang up in my face. And I was like, oh, I'm so angry. Like, why? So instantly my spirit like broke. Like, not only me, it's just like the other young ladies and ladies that was in there, like spirit broke. It's just, it felt dry. You know what I'm saying? It felt like a desolate place, heartbroken people in there. And I just remember talking to this Caucasian girl, and she was friendly. She was like, why are you in here? And I was like, I'm in here. They charged me with domestic violence, Oh, and then she told me what she was in there for, and all of that. So instantly, out of nowhere, I asked her, did she believe in God, and she was like, no. And I was shocked. You know what I'm saying? I was like, why? And she was like, she started to tell me specific things that she'd been through. And if God was God, why he allowed bad things to happen to her. And I was like, she's given a valid point, and I didn't know what to say. Hindsight, the spirit silenced me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what to say. That next morning, that night, it was our daily bread books and a Bible they allowed us to have, and like some little stud pencils and paper. So I remember being depressed in there, and I just remember me opening up the daily bread book, and it led to Romans 8:28. And it read, all things work together for those that loves and who are called according to God's will. When I told you, when I read that scripture, it brought me so much peace. And that was confirmation for me, like God ordained me to be in there, So the following morning was a Sunday. And I never forget it, is this prophetess. She's a pastor out of Tuscaloosa. She came to minister to us. And it was just like when she came, you felt the spirit of God on her. And it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like we was in a dry place, but she had the water of life. And it felt like restoration was coming, and we was like crying. Like I remember me crying, and another woman was just crying out because they wanted, like we was thirsty. We was wanting the water of life, God. So she began to like minister to us, and I just began to repeat the things she said, the Bible verses. And she looked at me and she said, you. And I said, me? She said, yeah, you. She said, forgive your mom. I said, how you know I'm mad at my mom? You know what I'm saying? She said, raise your hand. She said, your mama only know how to love the best way she know how to love. I began to cry. And then she looked at the other girl and she began to prophesy everything that the girl was telling me about her.